Get ready to ring in 2014, but as the ball drops for New Year's, taxpayers could be dropping some serious cash to bail out Obamacare. Let's just say the prognosis is in, and it's going to cost you big. Plus, minimum wage, maximum controversy, protesters demanding more green, and now more than a dozen states hiking the minimum wage on New Year's Day. But don't celebrate just yet, because that party comes with a nasty hangover. And then our viewers cash in from Facebook and Twitter. You pick the hottest stories of 2013. We'll debate them right here. Cashing in, making you a part of our show, starts right now. Hi, everyone. I'm Eric Bowling. Welcome to Cashing In. Our Cashing In crew this week: Wayne Rogers, Jonathan Honig, Michelle Fields, and Jamu Green. Welcome, everybody. If you think Obamacare cost America a lot this year, just wait until 2014. The new year ringing in without enough people signing up. We've been warning you all year. Now listen to Charles Krauthammer sounding the alarm.
The insurers understand that they are going to be completely ruined. And what's going to happen as a result of this? There's only one way out. A huge government bailout of the insurers is waiting at the end of next year.
Michelle, is a huge government bailout of the insurers, is that on the horizon for us?
Absolutely. The question isn't whether they're going to get a bailout. They will. The question is how much money they're going to get. A bailout is actually written into the Obamacare legislation with the risk corridors that says that when insurers lose any money the first 3 years of the implementation of Obamacare, taxpayers are going to be the one who have to pay for those losses. So what we're doing with Obamacare is we're privatizing profits and we're socializing losses.
Yeah, wait, and Michelle makes a very good point. Insurers are backstopped by the American taxpayer. So when they did all the numbers on how much Obamacare was going to cost, I don't even think they put a price tag on this. This could be tens of billions of dollars.
That is correct, Eric, and they did not put a price tag on it. You're right, but I don't necessarily think that's going to be the answer. I think the answer could be that we go to a single-pay system. In other words, they throw up their hands and say none of this works, and as a consequence, we're going to have to make all of these bailouts. Therefore, we're going to a single-pay system. That will even be worse. The terrible part about this is it supports a theory that I've always had that you know, we're headed towards a fascist government. And when I say a fascist government, I mean it in economic terms, not political terms, that you have the government in cahoots with major corporations and major unions, and they are dictating what the policy is going to be.
Right. Jamu, let's go to you. I believe you're, if I'm not mistaken, you're in that liberal little nest within the state of Texas, Austin, Texas. Tell us, does anyone have any idea how much Obamacare is really going to cost?
Well, Merry Christmas to you, Eric, from Austin, and it is a liberal nest. And I think that Charles is a smart man, but he is about 3.5 years too late, because the Affordable Care Act itself, Obamacare itself, was a bailout to the private insurance companies. They were losing premiums because employers were pulling out, dropping their insurance plans, and this Health Care Act pulled millions of people into private health insurance without a countervailing government option. So I actually think the direction that Wayne pointed out would be a great thing. We do need single payer in this country, but conservative forces did not allow that to happen.
John,
the bailout for insurance companies already happened.
I wonder if, as Jamu points out, it's a bailout for insurers, it's a bailout for the American taxpayer, paying redistribution to the people who don't have health care. If President Obama had presented it that way 3.5 years ago, you think it would have passed?
It would have never passed, Eric. I mean, the president's been deceiving about every element of government-controlled health care, which is exactly what this is. You know, you don't have to look too far into our recent history for government bailouts in its controlled health system. We've bailed out state Medicare programs 3 times in just the last decade. The Highway Trust Fund, Amtrak, the post office, the government-controlled student loan monopoly. Every time government gets involved with industry, every time, to Wayne's point, this fascist government starts to get in cahoots with business, there's always a bailout, because the rules of supply and demand of freedom no longer apply. It's anything goes. You know, so it's bailouts, it's benefit cuts, but it's the road to serfdom.
But bailouts, it seems to me, that rings a bell. Didn't someone say, well, let's take a listen.
There will be no more taxpayer-funded bailouts, period.
Jamu, another period. Every time he says period, we find out it's the exact opposite of that. This, in fact, is an insurer bailout.
Well, Eric, we have to keep in mind that half of all household bankruptcies are due to health care costs. Our health care system was untenable before the Affordable Care Act passed.
Yeah,
So
but
yes, while it
Obamacare
may
is
be
not
a
going to make
bailout
it
to
cheaper.
private insurance, we are moving in the right direction by having now 30 million more people with health insurance. It's a step in the right direction. It's not perfect.
I don't want to interrupt, but I also don't want, Jamu, I love you, but that's the liberal talking point that's passed around. I hear 50, 60% of bankruptcies, household bankruptcies, are due to insurance or medical costs, and that figure is flat out just not right. I'm not blaming you, but I'm sure the liberals that send it to you tried to get it right, but they got it wrong. Michelle, let's talk about it a little bit. Where is this all going? Where is this headed? How does this end? What's the end game here?
Well, look, the problem is that insurers have basically become an arm of the government. The government is the one who sets the rates, who sets the guidelines, sets the procedures. And the problem with that is that if they're in trouble, you bet that Obama is going to come with a lifeboat filled with taxpayer dollars to bail them out. And it's the American taxpayer dollars, the money that they work hard for, and it's going to go to insurance companies because this administration is the one who got us into this mess. How is that fair, Jamu?
Yeah, and hold on. I got to go to John. I want to go to John.
Got us into this mess.
Michelle points out a lifeboat, John, but sometimes that thing can look more like the Titanic than a little lifeboat.
Yes, of course. I mean, the safety net, the much heralded safety net, is anything but safe, Eric, because it requires government force to keep these Ponzi schemes going. Obamacare is now another Ponzi scheme, and the alternative is not the kind of government-controlled health care we had before, but an actual free market in health care we haven't had in decades, in which bad companies, bad operators wouldn't survive. And individuals would actually have their own choice about their own health. None of that happens with Obamacare. It's force brought to health care. That's why it's already failing before our eyes, and a bailout is imminent.
Last thought, Wayne.
Well, all of those points I think are very well taken, and the idea that this is make it up as you go along. This was not a law. They did 2,700 pages of garbage. Nobody read it. The people we elect, this is so outrageous that the people we elect do not read the legislation that they pass. I find that startling. And nowhere in the Constitution, Jamu, do I read where we are obligated to bail out everybody who has health care. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I missed that. Maybe that's somewhere else. But I'm saying that all of this is a coercive plot, and we've got to get rid of it.
Jamu, not only is it not in the Constitution, President Obama promised to stop bailing companies out, and yet he's going to do it.
The pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. But we cannot put at Obama's feet the utter failure and hot mess that the individual marketplace was before the Affordable Care Act. And for health insurance companies to try to blame all of this on the president and this plan is ridiculous.
Was that a free market, Jamu? Was prior to Obamacare, did we have a free market in health care?
We had a hot mess individual marketplace.
Do we have a free market in healthcare?
Junk
we didn't have a free market,
bankrupting families.
Can't answer the question.
Hold on, guys.
Can't answer the question.
Here's what Jonathan's getting at.
Won't answer the question.
Here's what Jonathan's getting at. Prior to Obamacare, insurers couldn't sell insurance across state lines, and that's why it wasn't a free market, and that's why costs were soaring.
One of the reasons why.
One of the many reasons. All right, we're going to have to leave it there.
That is correct.